The ones them shopping down in nigga. You could be shopping at a window shop. Get that to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, what a happy place. But just fix some more any item and you automatically qualify for discounts. Check us out at the Mega Store in Fongole where there's lots of parking on Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. JP Mega, the best family shopping experience. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your hosts, Trudy Kristen, and co-hosts, pharmacists Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in health.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Jolly's Health Vibes. As I like to say, the health talk show that always gives you a little vibe along with the health education. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, and of course, we're happy to be with you as we tend to be on a Wednesday morning to just share that overall health education and health vibes with you. My name is Trudy. In studio with me this morning is Leona. Good morning, Leona.
Good morning, Trudy. Happy to be here as well. And we have quite a show for us today, right?
Yes, we do. We have a guest in studio. As I always say, the people who are tuned in online via the social media pages of Q95 FM, whether it's the YouTube page, YouTube channel, or the Facebook page, they get to see the guests before we announce. So they can already see who we have in studio. And I know some of our frequent, regular listeners are saying, oh, I know that person. Because this person is not really a guest. She's a health vibes staple, I would say.
Yes.
So we do have someone in studio. We do have a good topic lined up for you this morning. I see our online, our social media followers already popping up. Julie, good morning to you. Natalie, as you always shout us out, good morning to you. Leona, yesterday I met with someone. I want to tell her good morning. I don't know her name, but she said she listens to Health Vibes every Wednesday. And if she doesn't catch us live, she looks for the show to replay.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, and she said that the information is so valuable that she cannot miss Health Vibes every single Wednesday. She didn't tell me her name, but I want to say good morning to her. And if we have other listeners who can never miss Health Vibes, good morning to you guys. As I like to say as well, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you enjoy the program, share it, tell someone else so that they can also benefit from what we discuss on a Wednesday morning. Leona, it's an important time, or we're commemorating something important in the health world, and that is diabetes. November 14th, having been World Diabetes, is going to be World Diabetes Day. So that's why the guest in studio is going to talk about that. Mm-hmm. But Leona, I just wanted to get from you quickly before we segue into the guest and the topic, what's going on at Jolly's Pharmacy, particularly as we are raising awareness about diabetes in the month of November.
Indeed. So, like Trudy said, the month of November, that's where World Diabetes Day lies. But the entire month is dedicated towards diabetes, and so World Diabetes Month. And of course, there is no day that we go without dispensing diabetic medication. And that's not once and that's not twice. It's every other or whatever the case may be. So definitely one of the topics that is near and dear to us as a company, as a healthcare provider, because definitely we'd like to spread awareness as best as we can towards the topic of diabetes. So for the month, we have quite a few things in store for you, the listeners, and the regular customers. And of course, if you're coming in, you might catch some two surprises,
Oh.
depending on where you come in. So one of the things that we're offering this week in particular, because Friday is World Diabetes Day, we'll be offering free blood sugar testing at all our pharmacy locations. So that is at King George Street, Great George Street, at Mega in Fokole, and of course at JP Portsmouth in the north. So you just come to the pharmacy, let them know that you would like to check your numbers, test yourself, see what your blood sugar readings look like. And a lot of times what might happen, we may get a person who just randomly tests, and you notice, or we notice, that this is, excessively high. It's within the diabetes range. At that point, we can help point you in the right direction, get you to a primary care provider, get you, to the, let you know if you need to get to the emergency room because this is really sky high. A lot of times we don't know what our readings are, or we don't know what our readings mean. So even for diabetics who regularly take their blood sugar, you can come into the pharmacy, get a free consult. Let us tailor, some advice to you based on your situation. So that is for this week at all our pharmacy locations. Also, big one, on Friday, we'll be having our third annual diabetes clinic in Portsmouth, right? So that is Friday the 14th, World Diabetes Day. We'll be having the third annual clinic in Portsmouth. So it's going to be a big event. We are doing this in collaboration with the American Canadian School of Medicine, in collaboration with the Portsmouth Healthcare District, also with the Diabetes Association. Will be highlighting some of their stuff at that event as well. And of course, this all goes towards pushing the awareness that they wish to provide for the public. And of course, we'll have Dr. Lisa on board, who will be there with us. Sharing the knowledge. She's always there to give us the visuals, to let us properly understand what diabetes is as a condition, how you can manage it, what foods, that's one of the areas that she's very passionate about, what foods that we eat, as persons with diabetes and as persons basically living your lives to prevent the advent of diabetes. What foods do you eat? How much sugar is in different meals that you take, the sodas, all of these things. So definitely a big one on Friday.
The
We're
14th?
asking everyone
Okay.
to come down to the Portsmouth branch at Jolly's, and that will be a big event in the yard. We'll have tents, we'll have sampling, we'll have giveaways, we'll have ample doctors, we'll have nurses, we'll have pharmacists, we'll have specialists. We'll also have the opportunity there for some education. So we'll be giving you a few different tidbits on different aspects of diabetes. So the diabetic foot will be talking about diabetes and your medications. Feel free to walk along with your medications, where we can give you some, medication reconciliation. You can get some advisory from the doctors there as well. So be there from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Friday at JP Portsmouth for World Diabetes Day.
Right. 9 to 1. People of the north, or if you want to come from Roseau
That's right.
to Portsmouth to benefit from that, I think it's worthwhile, right? So if you want to take the drive, you can do so. And Leona gave away who the guest is. She gave away who the guest is. So before we even go on break, I will introduce who we have in studio. Dr. Lisa Jolly is joining us this morning, and as I said, she's not a guest. She's a Health Vibes, part of the Health Vibes family, because of course, this is a program that she's very, very often on, particularly in the month of November.
Indeed.
Dr. Jolly, good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on today's show. I am so glad to hear, all the activities that are going on for Diabetes Awareness Month, which is November, but particularly World Diabetes Day. I was impressed to find out that a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, I asked, about doing the blood sugar and the blood pressure checks, and that was for the week of World Diabetes Day. And I was really impressed to find out that this continued on an everyday basis at Jolly's Pharmacy. And now to hear that there will be, is that correct, free blood sugar testing?
Free for all of this week.
And so that really expands the access to blood sugar monitoring. And for some people, that might mean a new diagnosis of diabetes, or perhaps they need to, check their medications. I'm also glad also that we are again going to Portsmouth. I hope that we're going by the riverside there. And it's usually a really nice atmosphere, and we've coordinated before with the American Canadian School of Medicine. It's really a good time. You can come out, check your blood pressure, check your blood sugar, perhaps get some nutrition information, perhaps get some medication information. It's really a nice vibe. So I'm looking forward to that. And yes, I will plan to be there. And yes, I do bring my visuals, I bring the plates, I bring my sugar charts. And so I'm happy to be there and to add to that World Diabetes Day event.
Indeed.
Dr. Jolly, I expected the sugar chat to be in studio this morning.
I'm saving it for Friday.
You're saving it for Friday. Okay, so if you have not seen that very famous sugar chart that Dr. Jolly uses for her health education, and that really makes you understand the quantity of sugar in various beverages, you need to come on Friday to the diabetes clinic, because I think it's a definite eye opener. That's why I expected it to be in studio, but you said to them, wait for Friday, right? Right. So let's take a break. We also supposed to be joined later on in the program with someone from the Dominica Diabetes Association, as they will let us know what are the plans for this month. So let's just take a break, and when we get back, we will continue our discussion. We are raising awareness. It's Diabetes Awareness Month, November, World Diabetes Day, November 14th. And so this is our topic. We'll be back after a short break.
Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your host, Trudy Kristen, and co-host pharmacist Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. Oh, and it is a convenience to make a big difference, and you can trust me. I know just where you should be. That is JP Mega. Stop shopping, Dominica, nigga. You could be shopping and having fun. Shop if you're not happy, you're so shop. It's a to everyone. What a happy place. Oh, JP Mega. Don't stop shopping, Dominica, nigga. You could be shopping and having fun. Shop if you're not alone. It's a to everyone. What a happy place. Oh, what a happy place. But just fix some more any item and you automatically qualify for discounts. Check us out at the Mega Store in Fongole, where there's lots of parking on Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. JP Mega, the best family shopping experience. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your host, Trudy Kristen, and co-host pharmacist Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your host, Trudy Kristen, and co-host pharmacist Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. convenience make a big difference, then you can trust me. I know just where you should be. That is JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one stop shopping on me, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun, sure. If you got a happy social, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one stop shopping on me, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun, sure. If I had my alone, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, what a happy place. Logistics some more any item and you automatically qualify for discounts. Check us out at the Mega Store in Fongolle where there's lots of parking on Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. JP Mega, the best family shopping experience. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your hosts Trudy Kristen and co-hosts pharmacists Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor, and not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Started feeling mistakes. I had the intentions to call it sick, but I end up in Jolly's Pharmacy. And don't you touch me, Jolly's system, my immune system. Me feeling fit and strong, now I'm ready to work like this kind of animation. If you see me again, Jolly's Pharmacy is number one, Jolly's forget. We can't talk on everyone, Jolly's forget. The immune system, Jolly's forget. Yo, Dominic is the wild part of box. Whenever I'm in town and I'm feeling down, I head to Jolly's Pharmacy, then boost me up real quick. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Oh, and if the convenience make a big difference, then you can trust me. I know just where you should be. That is JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one stop shopping on me, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun, sure. If you got a happy social, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, JP Mega, 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 Mega. The one stop shopping on me, nigga, 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 nigga. You could be shopping and having fun, sure. If I had my alone, it's to everyone. What a happy place, happy place. Oh, what a happy place. Logistics some more any item and you automatically qualify for discounts. Check us out at the Mega Store in Fongolle where there's lots of parking on Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. JP Mega, the best family shopping experience.
And we are back. Of course, this is Health Vibes, and we're joining you as we do on a Wednesday morning to bring you a little health education, a little vibes. I see some of our listeners, and good morning to you guys on the social media platforms of Q95. I see some people a lot of people have joined. Some people are experiencing some difficulties with hearing us via radio. Possibly you listening on your phone. But if you try the radio, the radio frequency, you should be able to get us as well. Of course, I do know that if you are on social media, you're hearing us loud and clear based on the comments that I see coming through. So just to let those people know that I may be listening on their phone, to maybe try radio or just listen through Facebook or YouTube. But we're with you, and it's World Diabetes Day on November 14th. And we're trying to raise a little awareness here. Dr. Lisa Jolly is in the house with us. I see that our guest from the Dominica Diabetes Association has also joined us virtually, so we'll introduce her in a bit. But Dr. Jolly, I wanted to start the ball rolling on this discussion about diabetes. I know people may say, or sometimes people say, we're talking about diabetes a lot, but why are we talking about diabetes a lot, Dr. Jolly? I know from your practice you can tell us why we're
Yes.
talking about diabetes a lot.
we talk about diabetes a lot, but we should continue talking about it a lot because it's a huge problem. It's a big problem all over the world, but particularly here in the Caribbean because we see a lot of the diabetes complications. We see a lot of the amputations. We see a lot of dialysis because of diabetes, and we also see a lot of vision impairment or blindness because of diabetes. And so, because we have small populations, we, we have, and not only small, but also very vulnerable populations. We have to be speaking about it, not only to bring awareness, but also one of the reasons that I speak publicly a lot about diabetes is to educate, to bring in increased literacy concerning diabetes and diabetes care, and all that is in an effort to have people being diagnosed earlier, to get the information concerning food, because food literacy is also a big issue. I attended this virtual conference probably about 2 weeks ago through the Barbados Diabetes Foundation. And they had done studies which showed that even here in the Caribbean, um, many folks don't have adequate literacy when we make food choices, particularly when it comes to processed foods. And so that's why I speak about food as often as I do, because I know and I understand the link between food and diabetes, but also diabetes care for those who have diabetes as well. And so yes, it's something we talk a lot about, but I keep on seeing folks and people come into the office, and young people in their 30s and in their early 40s, who are being diagnosed with diabetes. We are seeing an increase in the number of young adults, that is, people between the age of 10 and 20, typically between the ages of 15 and 20, who are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that is right here in the Caribbean. And so I am glad Dr. Burnett is oh, I gave away is on the show today, because probably she can speak to that a bit in terms of diabetes among young adults. And so my goal, one of the things that so there's a song which is called the Black National Anthem, and it's sung by celebrities like Beyonce and one of my other favorite artists. And it starts with three words. It starts with lift every voice. And so that's what I do every year. I lift my voice for those who have been marginalized, medically marginalized. For for years we've gone on and we've seen the amputations and the blindness as a result of diabetes. So every year on November 14th, I am lifting my voice for the people who have diabetes.
Yes, Dr. Jolly. Well, and you see, we had another giveaway here. Dr. Jolly did mention who we have joining us virtually. We have Dr. Burnett joining us from the Dominica Diabetes Association. Dr. Burnett, good morning to you. Let us know if you're hearing us, if you're seeing us, and everything is okay.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am. I hope you can see and hear me too.
Okay, I know Dr. Jolly sort of alluded to the fact that you maybe can speak about the high incidence in the youth of diabetes, high diabetes incidence in younger populations. Is it as alarming for you and what you're seeing as it seems to be?
Yes, we do have concerns. We have two types of diabetes that we see. We normally refer to them as type 1 and type 2, or juvenile diabetes and adult onset diabetes, because the way it works is a little bit different. And particularly what we're concerned about is the adult type of diabetes that we're seeing in younger and younger population. And that has a direct link with the increased incidence of obesity that we're seeing. So it is of concern for us because that is totally preventable.
I wanted to continue a little bit, Dr. Jolly.
Mhm.
You always, and you said so, are very vocal about food and food choices and that impact on that diabetes incidence. I oftentimes social media wise, if there is some video or some recipe or some food video that is highlighting an extremely sweet preparation, so some extremely sweet dessert or whatever it is, you see people in the comments saying things like, oh, that's diabetes right away, or that's diabetes right away.
Mhm.
What needs to be considered apart from the those direct sugary foods? What are the other risks as it relates to diabetes? Because I just get the concept as we speak in literacy and improving literacy as it relates to the condition, that people are seeing sweets only
Mhm.
as the causative
For
of diabetes.
diabetes.
Yes.
Um.
So they see the
Mhm.
dessert and they say, oh, that you if you eat that, that's diabetes right away. Like those are the
Yes.
type of comments.
Mhm.
But what else plays into the picture? What is the full picture?
Okay, so there are lots of other what you call risk factors or things that increases the chance you'll develop diabetes. And certainly you're right. A lot of the foods, the popular foods on social media are sugar laden, meaning that they have, but to a certain extent, that's why they get a lot of the media attention. For example, have you ever seen a social media or foods in social media such as fruits and vegetables?
Mm.
Have you ever seen advertisements about cucumber and lettuce and tomato? Have we ever advertised or marketed any of the local markets where they sell local food?
Mm, not so much.
Exactly. You don't see
Mhm.
even so for example, if you look at the schools, particularly the primary schools around the island, I'm sure, and we went to local schools, within 5 minutes walk of any of those schools, you'll find a shop that sells some sugary food, whether it's a candy or whether it's a drink. And so we see that these foods are, even though we see them on social media, they're also in our immediate
Environment.
environment. And whenever we have gatherings or celebrations, um, they are even more visible. And so, yes, consumption of sugary foods and beverages is a risk factor. And it plays into one of the things when I think about, overall, when we look at public health and national health, because I go to the supermarket and I look at the supermarket shelves as well. And I look at the beverages on the supermarket shelves. And I notice that the water shelves are only about a fifth compared to all the other beverages, which are largely sugar sweetened beverages. But you're right, the other risk factors, the family history is a significant risk factor. So if there's a family history of diabetes, particularly if both parents were diabetes, then it's almost like a sure guarantee that you'll have some bit of diabetes, even if you try your best. So genes are important. However, genes do not determine your destiny. However, a lot of times we learn to eat and to move the way our families learn to eat and move. So we have the same habits. So even if we migrate, we keep those habits. We continue drinking the evaporating milk in other countries, and we go out of our way to get them, because that's what we grew up on. And so if our families or parents did not move or make time to exercise, then likewise we sit down in front of the TV as well. And so family history is important, and that's a particularly I see that when diabetes shows up early, oftentimes there's a strong family history of diabetes. And so the nutrition aspect, you're right. The genetic aspect is there. But also if you're sedentary, meaning that you're not very physically active, whether it's at work. So if your job requires a lot of sitting, desk work, or not a lot of moving, then yes, you're at a higher risk. Um, if there's a history of diabetes in pregnancy for women, that gestational diabetes, what you call gestational diabetes, with diabetes in pregnancy, is actually just type 2 diabetes that shows up in pregnancy. And there's a more than 50% chance that within 6 or 7 years after that baby is born, that mom ends up having diabetes. Certain races, certainly folks of Asian descent and of African descent. And so that's why even here in the Caribbean, we have a high prevalence of diabetes across the islands. Not only do we have a lot of diabetes, we have a lot of diabetes complications as well. Part of that is it could be history, but it also could be Western influence or Western influence consumption of foods and drinks, particularly at times where we've had natural disasters. For example, Jamaica just went through Hurricane Melissa, and then you have an outpouring of largely processed food and drinks that get delivered to people who have, lost their homes and houses and these sort of things. And a lot of times people continue to eat and drink in that light, failing to realize the harmful effects. And likewise, we had with Hurricane Maria as well. And so,
Very important point.
so there are lots of other factors that are involved, but in general, though, the Caribbean is definitely what we call a high risk population because of our African ancestry, because socioeconomics plays a role, because again, a lot of the fruits and vegetables are tend to be a little more expensive, but also more perishable than perhaps the processed foods. So that was the convenience of the processed food in that this food was not as perishable. It lasted longer on the shelf, had a longer shelf life. So it means that whenever people were ready for it, it was okay to eat, as opposed to if you have lettuce in your fridge, perhaps after a week it's not so good, and then you were less likely to eat it. So if you have your $10 to spend, then you made sure that you bought something that you would certainly have the opportunity to eat. And so there are a lot of factors that are playing a role in terms of, diabetes being a big issue in Dominica and the Caribbean at large. But one of the things that we're seeing, as Dr. Burnett mentioned, is that we're seeing the adult onset of the type 2 diabetes appearing in the
Younger
in the teenage, as young as 15, as young as 16. And that is because those children are having more exposure and a longer exposure to those sugar sweetened beverages, those concentrated sweets, whether it's in the form of candies. Certainly, as we have become more affluent or we have developed affluenza, we are becoming more mobile. So a lot before kids used to walk to school, now they take the bus. They spend more time in front of screens, so they've become screenagers rather than being outside and being physically active. And so you're seeing an increased number of kids or teenagers developing obesity and hence type 2 diabetes.
One of the things you mentioned, which I think is something that I talk about often as well, we are the ones as adults that introduced our children to food, their very first experience of food. We are the ones, I'll say, that introduced our children to sugar. So, for instance, you have a toddler, and the first set of foods you give them, you might be doing, high sugar, we like box drink, we like, these kind of things. But if you look, a lot of times, even in the children's juices, the sugar content is much higher than what it would be in, let's say, something I would pick up. Even in sometimes their um gummies, all of these things, the sugar content is definitely much higher. So that's something that as adults we need to plan for our kids. We need to plan for their nutritional habits. If you instill that in a child, I simply believe that they can then have that as routine and probably prefer less sugar stuff, less processed stuff. But again, it's on us, the adults.
You're absolutely right. In terms that the parents definitely need to have the knowledge. A lot of the box drinks, the single-use box drinks, have between 5 and 7 teaspoonfuls of sugar in the box. And so one of the reasons why parents are doing that is because of the convenience.
Yes.
The convenience, because you don't have to squeeze the orange or you don't have to blend the juice. You just simply get this box juice
And the lack of time.
that is ready made. But really and truly, people just folks just need to drink water. Even the children
Mhm.
just need to drink water.
Mhm.
So education is an important key, but part of it too could be policies, which I think they've been working on in terms of the school nutrition policy. But also, this is an easy thing that the schools could implement, where they could reduce or eliminate the sale
Same.
of sugar sweetened beverages, particularly the sodas, um, to children and teenagers, because you have two things. We went to convent high school, right, Julie?
We all did.
Oh yes, we did. Okay, so I want to ask Leona, because you would have gone after us. Um, do they still sell the Coke, the Sprite, the Fanta, the sugar sweetened beverages? Is that the only thing that's available?
Well, I went after, but I think I've been out for a while. So as of
Yeah,
right now, I'm not sure. But in my time, we definitely had,
the
the
sodas.
sodas.
Did they
Definitely
sell? Did
had
they
the
sell the
sodas.
water at all? Was
I,
water?
I'm pretty sure they probably did, but I don't recall myself
You don't recall?
buying water.
It is still a problem that we face in that they not only from the school cafeteria, but the persons who come by to sell by the school, most of these persons are selling the high sugar content. I know that recently some of the schools started a project, so they had a water day. So, once per week, they would introduce a water day when you brought no juice at all and you only brought water to school to drink. But that's just one day per, from the school and not from the home. So apart from the schools, the homes also need to be introducing it. And it's not about telling the children, don't drink sweet juice, and I am drinking it. The children are going to do what you do. And the taste for sugar is an acquired taste. Breast milk is bland. So when children are born, they love breast milk, and children who are totally breastfed, they prefer, and you'll find they will stay on the breast a lot longer and will refuse the other foods that are being introduced. And it's when we start introducing other foods to them that we introduce the sweet taste, and they acquire this affinity to the sweet taste, and unfortunately it stays with them because we're reinforcing it. But children are not born naturally wanting sweet things. We teach them to take sweet things and to prefer sweet things over, like the water, like Dr. Jolly was saying.
And I wanted to just add to that. Yes, yes, it's an acquired taste. Yes, the parents do have that initial control, but there is a lot of peer pressure as it relates to nutrition as well. And I know, as someone who has been in education for basically my life, sometimes things that are done at the home, when the child gets in the the friends group and the friends are exposed to something different, there's that pressure to, I don't want to, this is what my parents gave me for snack, but that's not the cool thing because everybody else is eating tarts and whatever it is. So the little fruits that I was maybe given, that makes me seem, like not the cool
Different,
thing.
and you don't
Yeah,
want
that
to
makes
be
me,
different.
and you don't want to be different. So we also have to look at that aspect too, that within the school structure, there is that sort of, I call it pressure, but I don't know what's the proper term, but there is that influence from
It
other
is
children
peer
as well.
pressure. It is
Yeah.
peer pressure, and we see it a lot. I remember when my daughter was in high school, all through primary school, all the time, she took her lunch from home. And she's, Mommy, can you please not give me any lunch anymore? Because nobody is carrying lunch to school.
Yeah.
Can I buy lunch at school? So it's interesting because I was teaching her money management, and then I told her, I'm going to give you all your lunch money at the beginning of the week. If you save any of that money during the week, I will double it and it will go into your savings. And that's at that time, the little girl who didn't want my lunch to carry to school started getting up early in the morning and preparing lunch. I'm taking it to school now. The only thing in the house that she can get is healthy food to carry.
Right.
She started, and I suppose she spread the news that I am saving my lunch money, etc. So it sort of caught on. So we also have to try and find, very innovative ways to bring them back to the, the normal diet, the regular diet, because it is significant the amount of pressure they get at school to be like everybody else and eat what everybody else is eating.
So I see there's a comment is it Coralie Thomas who
Yes.
said that Coralie, sorry, didn't mention the last name. The Ministry of Education do have the Water Wednesday and Fruity Fridays at our schools. I do agree, but I think that's a good thing, but I think it should be like all the time. I don't think it should be
Yes.
there's a water day. Every day should be water day and every day should be fruit day, really, in my, every it should be every day. Really and
Yes.
truly, how about we change it we make it the other way around? Every day is water and fruit and vegetable day. And when we have to have hot dog and pie and tart day, we will make it a specific,
A specific day.
It's an exception.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a special. It pops up every now and again, but it's not
Yeah.
the routine.
Not the
Definitely
rule.
a good
Yeah.
start. So we hope it can spread into the other days.
Yes,
during the awareness.
every day is water, fruit, and vegetable day, and we'll have the special, sugar sweetened beverage day, and we'll let you know when that day is.
Coralie's agreeing. She's the nutritionist in the Ministry of Education, and she's been on with us before. I know she's taking that suggestion to heart. I know they're trying to start incrementally, but yes, that's a very good suggestion. Let's try to change the whole dynamic. So let's make the water and the healthy fruits that's a norm.
That's every day.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
every day. And then, the other stuff is once in a blue moon. Yes.
We'll make it
And
tart.
what is interesting as well that I want to add is that like I said, it is an acquired taste and it's a taste that can be lost. If you're eating a particular food for 2 weeks and more, then you will acquire the taste for it. So if we, for example, take them off the sweet drinks for a 1 week, 2 week, and I know they will want it. So you gradually decrease it. So you're taking sweet drink today. Tomorrow is half juice, half water. The next day is 3/4 water and a quarter juice. And eventually they tend to lose that desire. So when they go and take the original sweet drinks that they used to take, it tastes extra sweet and unpleasant. So it is also for us, by example, making sure it is done at home and introducing it to them gradually, get them off of the taste. So like you said, water day is not once a week, but a regular thing.
Doctors, I wanted to go a bit into this issue of complications. Dr. Jolie has spoken about the frequency of the occurrence of diabetes complications. And I know that is a concern. Dr. Burnett, I know from the Dominica Diabetes Association that must also be of concern. My question is, if someone is managing their diabetes, or what level of management of the disease needs to exist to prevent the complications of the disease? So, I mean, how do you know that you are avoiding complications? What level of management must you try to attain for you to say, I'm a diabetic, but I am avoiding the complications of the disease? What are we looking for?
We're looking to maintain them within the normal range for their blood sugar levels. So it is the higher the level of the sugar and the longer they're exposed to that higher level, then the more likely they're going to get complications. And after 5 years of being exposed to a high level of blood sugar, you're going to start developing eye problems, etc. So it is about maintaining the levels. And the other thing to remind the parents is that as the children grow, the volume of calories that they need varies. So as they're growing, they not only need to maintain themselves, but to grow. And then the nutritionist is very important in terms of, as they're growing, to talk to them about what is the volume they need and the proportions that they will need. One of the things we say to them sometimes is, okay, it's your birthday. If you want to celebrate, you can have half a slice of cake, but this is how many calories are in the half a slice of cake. If you have the half a slice of cake, then you have to cut out that amount of calories from the rest of your diet. And this is an exception and not the rule, and a rare exception, so that they get accustomed to being within the range of the requirements of their diet for their age, and then they will be maintaining and avoiding these complications.
So-
Sorry. It's really interesting you said that. I think we had a comment that just said from Al. It says, I also think it's the portions you drink. And he was mentioning that in New York City a couple years ago, they banned all the large cans of sodas in schools. And that makes a lot of sense because I think in Dominica, one of the things I've noticed, we do not pay attention to portion size. So if we buy a can, it might say on there 2 portions,
servings
it
or
might say
3.
2.5 servings.
You
This
just
is,
drink everything.
I'm guilty sometimes because when you drink it, you don't look at this, so you just drink everything. Especially if it's a can, most times you don't
You can't
cup the
reseal
can
it.
and put it back, you can reseal it. So you end up drinking the entire can and you will look on the side and it will say, you'll see maybe 30 grams of sugar. And you figure you just had 30 grams of sugar. No, that's in one serving. So you maybe just had 90, grams of sugar. And I think that's a lot of where the literacy aspect comes in.
Nutrition label reading.
Definitely.
But of note, there are specific numbers that are set by the international organizations as far as blood glucose targets. So, for example, if you have diabetes, keeping the A1C less than 7%, the younger the person is, if you can get down to 6.5%, that will be in your that will be beneficial for you. Keeping your blood pressure within the normal range and keeping your cholesterol. So we look at those things, and we also look at weight as well in terms of preventing the diabetes complications. We are aware that some complications, even if you have impeccable control, unfortunately it does not prevent stroke and heart attack. It does not prevent those sort of complications. So the reason why we actually treat diabetes is the complications we prevent are the eye complications, what we call the diabetic retinopathy, the diabetic nerve issues and vascular issues in the feet, but also the diabetic kidney disease.
Right.
So those are the big ones that we help to prevent. But also the other thing is that, which you want people to know, is that in preventing the complications, that you prevent disability. Because again, once you develop those complications, which is foot complications or eye complications, you have acquired a disability. And so that could affect your livelihood, meaning how you work or where you work. And it could impact your life and your lifestyle.
Indeed.
And so hence the importance of taking care of your diabetes, because it's something that it can be taken care of. And providing you have the right information, if you are highly motivated, because you have to be motivated in the long run to really take care of it. And you're right in terms that yes, parents can do it for the kids, but eventually the kids have to
Do it for themselves.
Yes,
They have to choose it.
You have to choose to do so, because people do feel different when because again, because the difference between the cold or flu, which is an acute illness, diabetes and high blood pressure could lead to chronic illnesses. And so that's why it requires a lifestyle change, so that way it's it's managed in a chronic way.
I really
Sorry, I just wanted to add, I've heard it from the young diabetics, especially once they get into adolescence. I hate being different. I had one diabetic who came in and just had a whole pile of sweets and sweet drinks. And then I just said, why did you do it? And she said, because I am tired of being different. I want to be like everybody else. So there is that pressure on them. But from the home situation, and generally, if we speak to people about obesity, which contributes to your adult type diabetes, you don't have to be a nutritionist to try and eat healthy. One of the things, we use vegetables as a decoration. When you ask, yes, I use vegetables. How much do you put in the plate? I put one slice of tomato and one slice of cucumber. And how many carbs you have? I had 2 slices of yam, I had green fig, and I had 3 spoons of rice in the plate. So it is very unbalanced. So if we teach them about balancing their plate and the volume that they eat, I say to the children very often, when you put food on the plate, you must be able to put your 2 hands at the side of the plate and not touch your food. If you're touching your food, you put too much in the plate. And the other thing is, your plate must be flat. If you're piling the food, so you clear the side and you can hold the side, but if you have a big pile in the middle, it's still wrong. So the plate should be flat and it should have space on the side, and balance it. If you put 1 spoon of rice or carbs anywhere, put an equivalent amount of vegetables and choose it. The vegetable comes in a wide range. So no, I don't like tomatoes. But there are other vegetables that you can use. Tomato is not the only red vegetable that you can get. You can use orange vegetables, use your carrots, etc., so that you mix it and teach them a variety and give it to them in different ways. Oh, you like pizza? Well, if you're going to get pizza, it's going to be vegetable on top of your pizza and stuff like that. Put it in a drink, put it in a smoothie, make it in a popsicle, make it interesting. And you should also be seen to be liking it too. It's not that I eat it because I'm in front of you and you look on my face and you're seeing my face says, this is a horrible thing, but I have to do it because I'm your mother or your father. You have to like it and to be seen to like it. Our children mimic us. So it has to start with us eating healthy, eating moderate amounts, eating the right thing.
A lot. I mean, and I really hope our listeners are listening well, because there's a lot of instructive information being shared here this morning. Dr. Burnett, I like the aspect of that plate and that visualization of not overloading the plate, not heaping the plate, leaving space on the plate. Maybe the size of plate is also important, because
Yes.
I know there are some huge plates these days. So the size of the plate too, but I like that. And Dr. Jolly, you mentioned, and I think I just want to repeat in terms of the diabetes control and the avoiding complications. You mentioned that even if there's impeccable control, there is still risk for the cardiovascular disease,
Yes.
the stroke,
That is
heart
true.
disease. And I think that is you spoke about motivation. I think that is, motivation in a particular direction. Like, even, I and that is for those maybe who don't have the disease, preventing the disease, that even if I am so good, if I have this disease, there are some risks that I will still have.
Yes. But that does not prevent you. Doesn't mean that we'll say, well, oh well, I'm gonna, not do
Yeah, it
anything.
just
But
Lage.
yes, it doesn't mean that. But at least the minimum you can do is at least try your best
Okay.
to prevent those things from happening, because it does affect your quality of life, and also your quality of life, but also the years of your life as well. So shortly, I would bring up some of the issues that we have in terms of prevention and management of diabetes. This is in general in developing countries, but some of these do apply to Dominica, which we are trying to address in terms of prevention, awareness and literacy. So I hope that, speaking about it every World Diabetes Day, I understand on DBS last weekend there were some shows as well where you had people even talking about their personal experiences with diabetes. And so health literacy is very important. Policies and health care not focus on prevention more, and that is one of the things that is an issue where, perhaps if we put a cost on the complications or providing treatment for the complications, maybe then people will be more motivated in terms of prevention. Shortage of an inadequately trained health manpower, lack of guidelines for diet and exercise. And again, you mentioned the influence of audiovisual, like you mentioned, like on social media, of energy dense foods, particularly those that are marketed to children. We see that right here, where there are schools where we're marketing sugar sweetened beverages on the outside of the schools or on the opposite side of the streets. So these are things we need to look at. And once we spoke about that, the absence of school-based nutrition and exercise-related education programs, and limited importance given by the community to have prevention efforts, and whether we're more focused on other things. And so those are some of the roadblocks we have to prevention, and that all of that does apply to us. So provided, I will bring up some, PAHO has some recent statistics for within the Caribbean, where we have a number of countries and within our neighbors where you have the highest prevalence of death related to diabetes, but also the years of life lost as well. So
There's one other thing I wanted to add, particularly for the kids, because we don't tend to relate it, but it's the amount of sleep they get and the amount of time they spend on media. Because if you're sleep deprived, there's a particular hormone, cortisol, which increases when the body is stressed. And once cortisol increases, it's going to increase your blood sugar level. So sleep is very important. And as parents, please make it a rule. You go to bed on time. That's one. And two, I take the phone from you when you're going to bed. So you don't go to bed with the phone. I always say to my children and to my patients, you're not on call. The only person who can have a phone with them at night is somebody who is on call. If you're not on call, you don't need the phone. So take the phone away from the children at night. So they will rant and rage in the beginning, but if they say it is a rule for the house, and if they see that you are doing it as well, and we all survive, then it works. And in place of the phone, have a conversation with the children, have some family time. It's interesting that eating family meals together, talking together, also reduces the incidence of obesity, which eventually leads to diabetes. Why? Because one, it is decreasing the stress level. It is increasing your security and your comfort zone around you. And two, three, you're spending less time eating. So simple things like that can make a big difference.
Oh wow, I see Nadia says that I agree. My daughter doesn't go to bed with her phone. That's a rule in my house. The question is, we don't have any parents here. But the question is why, I'm wondering about you're talking about Dr. Burnett.
Yes.
Yes.
How much time do you allow on the phone? Because this idea about going to bed with the phone, that's even questionable. Like, how much time do you allow on the phone?
Okay, my rule is during school time, you're allowed 1 to 2 hours of pure phone time, whatever you want to do on the phone, after you have completed your homework. And you must also have some activity. So that was my rule. 1 to 2 hours in the afternoon during school time, nothing more than that. And you're not going to bed with the phone. I used to say after, depending on the age of the child, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I have the phone. That is on-call hours afterwards. So you do not have the phone. On weekends, you can have, and during the summer holidays, you can have some more time on the phone. But you also have to have equivalent amount of active exercise, active time, whatever you like. Swimming, playing cricket, playing basketball, running, anything you like. Yes, go for it. So you have that amount also in terms of your activity, making it equivalent. So if you take away the phone and you don't give them something interesting to make a substitute, then they will find a way to get around it. So it is not only taking it away, but substituting something that is interesting and beneficial to them also, and them seeing you doing it too. How many of us, we are at the dining table and we're eating and we're on our phone, and then we're telling them, put away the phone. So don't do what I do. That doesn't work.
So I have a question in terms, because you mentioned the phone, which is a screen, but there are also other screens. There's a
tablets.
tablet and also the TV.
Right.
Now I grew up in the world where we didn't have we didn't have phones, so there were no rules concerning there were no rules concerning phones. But also the phones at the time were only used for making calls. That's all you could do with the phones. You could only make a call. So if you were not
Yes,
making a
yes.
call, you really didn't have a phone. But now like, the phones are different and there's a lot more to do on the phone. So but so I just want to clarify, is it screen time? Because the phones are a screen, but there's other screens. There's a TV screen, the computer screen, there's also the iPad or tablet screen. So is the phone time, is that screen time?
Yes, yes, general screen time. So it's not 2 hours on the phone, I'm finished. No, I take up my iPad. I can have 2 hours on the iPad and we add it. That is your screen time. You divide it however you want it. But when you're doing that, you also have to create other interesting activities. You can't be so busy with your housework and the work that you brought home to complete before going to work 8 o'clock tomorrow morning that you have no time for them. Another thing I had also done with my children is that before they go to bed, we always had a debrief for the day. And it wasn't me, it was them telling me if they, you talk about your day, what do you want to talk about? How was it, etc. And even although as a physician, I would be on call sometimes, even if I was at the hospital, I would take a break and I would call home so we could have that conversation before they went to bed. So there was an alternative and an interesting alternative that we can talk about it. Let us brainstorm. What do you think we could do differently? How could you improve this? What else can you do that is fun, etc. The friends don't, always want to go sit down and do something, but how can you create some fun activity with your friends that they can go somewhere safe? Because that's the other thing. How safe is our the playground that we can just, as kids, I knew, for me, that's long time ago, after you finish your chores, your parents let you loose and you could go and play on the playground because it was a safe place to be. You would go to the river and spend the day at the river. It was also a safe place. And there would be adults around by the riverside anyway that would look out so you don't get in trouble, that kind of a thing. You go climb. It was mango season, so you climbed a tree and you picked your own mango and stuff like that. No, that is not an option. So what is an interesting alternative active option that we can give to the kids?
I feel like this is such an interesting discussion, this aspect of the parental control. I feel like we need a whole show
I know, right?
on healthy, like parenting for healthy,
Healthy
parenting. Yeah,
parenting.
healthy
Lifestyle.
parenting. Yeah, because a lot of the things that we are discussing here, parents mightn't know the long-term benefit of what we're talking about if they're not exposed to particular. This is the route that you have to take in order to prevent this or that in your child. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is a whole,
I think, but
like a whole session that we could have.
But the question is it the question especially, is it possible? Because really and truly what you're asking a parent to do is to really model the behaviors, model MODL, the behaviors that you would like your child to follow in terms of eating healthy, exercising, reducing the screen time, because those are more distractions. Back in the day, we didn't, have as many screens as we have now. So, and now even a lot of parents themselves, like you said, are on their screens. And so the children think like, okay, this is what you do when you become an adult. You spend time on screens. But also there's something interesting for them to watch as well. So, it's for you to do everything everything right all the time. Is I could imagine is very, and also in terms of the eating healthy,
I know.
it's sometimes
It's a lot of work.
It's the willingness to try.
It's a lot of work. Let's take a call.
It's worthwhile work. Sorry to disturb you that way, but it is worthwhile work. And I think it takes a lot out of us, but it can be done. And the challenge I would give to the adults is that if this is so hard for us as adults to do, how can we expect the children to do it? Is it fair to ask the children to do it if we find it difficult to do? So we have to rearrange our times as well. Family time is key in terms of not only modeling for the children, but also preventing these, diseases.
Yes, we have a caller. Let's take a call. We haven't engaged our listeners. Let's take a call. Caller, good morning. Okay, caller. Good morning.
Hey, morning, ma'am, Judy, and the guests, the doctors, the pharmacists. Morning.
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 Yes, very educationally. Diabetes is not one of the most difficult diseases to cure, but you can also deal with it on the natural side. Exercising, your diet, the food we eat, and even the environment we live around with stress, it helps to spike it. I listened to Carlton one of those days on a different program, and he was talking about he was about to get the diabetes and just do some exercising for around a week and it's gone. My lady had diabetes very early, but then she just changed her diet. Like I said, the things we eat, for instance, some of the things we can use is things like green pawpaw, eggplant, balagen, and you don't have to even cook it much, just half cook it. You can even eat the Christopher raw, cucumbers, as one of the ladies was just saying there. Even the men that lacking of bedroom performance, the things they can use is natural things like melon with the skin and cucumbers and parsley and celery. These are the natural things. But, we have a long way to go because we copy on the Western culture, the American culture, the Europe culture, and it's going to be very hard for free for all to get a nation to follow all the agenda. It's not just diabetes affecting them. In our work environment, we're not going to be able to can produce because I do natural medicine. I'm deal with herbs on the natural side. A lot of young people come around and they suffer from a lot of different implications, and these are just because of the eating. Just the foreign Irish potato carry a lot of sugar. The alcohol, they carry a lot of sugar. Even the juice, as you was just saying. Why do we have to put so much contents of sugar in a little bottle of juice? The health department, the government supposed to put legislation in place. Even our local juice people are not supposed to put a percentage of sugar above in juice. Some people should just want a juice without sugar. If I have diabetes, I don't want to eat a juice, drink a juice with sugar. So then it's a broad work.
Yes.
Now, even on our local side, like the people that do natural medicine, they can hardly get a sponsor, even on the radio, to bring a presentation across. Even the business place, sometimes you ask for sponsorship. I used to have a program on Sunday afternoon before Peter Puss come on the Kyrie FM, and I could hardly get sponsor. I go to many business places. Some of those business places I work with, and them never even give me a sponsor. So what are you saying? There's a lot of work, but if you continue, and it has to be a continual thing. If you look at the older people before, they didn't have the education like us, but they was advanced in the world because after mango and fruit season, they would give you a detox, and they would get all kind of things, bitter melon juice and castor oil and another thing like looking like chocolate, blue cracks.
Right.
And when you take that letting go all demons in your stomach, so it's no joke. I mean, because look at after the fest, all these 12 festivals, most people supposed to take a detoxin. Just stay home, rest, clean the body, and drink a lot of coconut waters and spring water and bitter things and lemon. Lemon is a good thing to drink for parasites. So I just call you to emphasize that, Miss Jolly, you must set up some more local food shop.
Dr. Jolly.
Food shop to get system nuts and build up food shops and educate the people, get hobby and give some education. Even these guys out of state. Educate your people, drink some this thing here we have in the yard waste in there. Spinach, blend the spinach and make a juice with it. Just strain it. You see the education Dr. Jolly's have to do. You have the resources, put a local restaurant in Roseville. You have a big rugby exercise in there. Do something, get on the move. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. We are, the time is up, of course, as usual. We've had a packed show, but we wanted one of the aims of having, the objectives of having Dr. Burnett on from the Dominica Diabetes Association was to share what the association is doing this month. So, Dr. Burnett, I want to give you the opportunity as we are ending the program in a few minutes to share with us from the perspective of the Dominica Diabetes Association what's happening.
Okay, thanks for that. And in response to the caller, I thank you for all that you brought up. And I hope what you heard coming from us was not changing this and changing that, but a lifestyle. It is the lifestyle change that makes the difference. So just to emphasize what you said before, what you were saying, that it's a lifestyle change, it's not a magic formula. But in terms of the emphasis for the Diabetic Association, one of the focus is looking at obesity, and particularly obesity in children, because obesity is one of the contributing factors to the adult type of diabetes. So going around to the schools, talking to the children about obesity and different things they can do, their activity, their eating, etc. Screening programs that will be done as well. So the information will go out as to where they will be and when the screening will be done. So those are two of the areas that we are focusing on. And of course, when we can come on programs like these, that we can emphasize again and bring to the attention of persons. Yes, if you have diabetes, you will have to live with it, and we can live with it in a healthy way. And, persons talk about reversal of diabetes in some cases for your type 2 diabetes. With your lifestyle changes, you'll find that you can reduce the amount of medication you will have to take, etc., just by your lifestyle changes. To emphasize that lifestyle change, healthy living, and improving living with diabetes.
Okay, I see. I have the calendar here. I see that the association will be having a live conference on the 14th, Diabetes and the Workplace, which is the theme of this month's diabetes awareness. So I see that you all are having a conference on the 14th and some visits to workspaces, HHV Whitchurch on the 14th, and then Rudolph Thomas on the 21st, and then sometime to the Castle Bruce Health District. So I guess people can look forward to that. And I do see a list of training sessions for the month, which seem to be, some of the things we've been speaking about. And I will continue, Dr. Jolly, next week on this conversation of diabetes prevention and management as well. But I see the Dominica Diabetes Association has diabetes basics, emergency response and support, also early detection of the diabetic foot, and also use of the Doppler machines in training in the health districts. And of course, I see something interesting, Dr. Burnett, from the association, a 10,000 steps a day challenge from November 23rd to the 29th. 10,000 steps a day.
I can do that.
You can do that,
I
Dr. Jolly, but I will admit that I am very, very bad, and I have started monitoring my steps using my app on my phone. And yesterday I got 5,000 and something, and I felt so proud.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Actually, if you do it all day, if you do it for the whole day, you'd realize that you get it. And then you probably have, like, in the evening after work, perhaps you probably have another 5,000 to do.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I said, boy, Jay, I'm not close to the 10,000 at all. But anyway, we'll keep trying.
And we can do a little changes that will get the steps in. Yeah. So you're going to the supermarket, you park right next to the door of the supermarket and you walk inside. Park at the furthest end in the parking lot. it sounds like horrible in the beginning, but if you start doing that, park at the furthest end, walk to the supermarket, walk back, just little things like that, that gets the
Gets
walk
the
in,
steps. Yeah.
get the steps in. You're going to Ministry of Health. You're going to any of these government buildings. Some of them now have elevators. It's so easy. Jump in the elevator and go upstairs. If, some persons might not be able to walk up the stairs, but go in the elevator, walking up, walk down. Just little things like that gets the steps in, get the exercise done.
Yes, definitely. So that's the challenge, guys, listeners, audience. 10,000 steps a day. Dominica Diabetes Association is putting that out for you from the 25th to the 29th. Let's see if we can meet it. Dr. Jolly is already there.
I've got it.
Right.
Leona, where are you?
I can hit the 10,000.
You can hit the
I might not
10,000.
hit it
Good.
every day, but I can hit it.
It's already it's set already on my phone.
Exactly.
So,
and if you have,
so I do so regularly. I'm starting to go actually to 12,000.
Oh, wow.
so
Okay.
if you have a smartwatch, that's even more accurate in terms of your steps, but you can use your phone as well. So before that date, I would hope that we can download an app and get that going. And for those of us who are at 10,000, like Dr. Jolly, maybe we can increase that and put our for those dates.
Yeah, she said she's going to do to 12. And I saw pedometers. I know that whole school.
But just to tell people, it's not so impossible. I've been doing that for years. I've been doing that for years. It started because of problems I had, illnesses I had to be on steroids, and I gained so much weight. I went up to 200 pounds. That was bad. And I became pre-diabetic. And once I had all of my medical problems sorted, then I had to bring the weight down, and that was one of the challenges. So gradually I increased my steps until I got to the 10,000 per day. And on weekends, when I had extra time, I would do 20,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a challenge. So it's like, okay, how like if you're in the vicinity of Roseville, just say, okay, I am going to walk to Roseville, or I'm going to walk to Roseville and get back, or I'm going to walk halfway and get back. Something like that. If you have any groups, organize a group. So one group, Canefield I'm going to walk to meet Canefield, and Canefield is going to walk back with me. So you'd have gone back and forth, and then Canefield would have had the opportunity to walk back and forth. Just make it interesting, mix it around. And after a while, you find it becomes second nature. It is difficult to start. I'm not going to lie, it is difficult to start. But once you start and you get going, it gives you a high, not a high like taking drugs, but an alternative where it lifts your spirit and it gives you the energy to go through the day.
Right. And yes, I wanted to just add, as I said, I saw pedometers at Jolly's on King George V Street. I know we into phones now and the smartwatches, but if you want an old school pedometer to just clip on your
doesn't have a screen.
That doesn't have a screen, you just clip it on your clothes. I saw that it was $20-something. I said, oh, that's pretty cool. So, if you want to get into that motivation for those steps, Jolly's Pharmacy, I know you can get that definitely there. Yes, we are way past our time, ladies. Thank you so much for being on the show, Dr. Burnett and Dr. Jolly. Of course, Dr. Jolly, you plan to be back with us next week because we're continuing the discussion from another angle, but we continue in the discussion. So we're signing out this week from Health Vibes, but you do need to join us next week because we'll be back on with you, God willing, bringing you another health conversation with, some education, some vibes. Thank you. And we are signing out. So until next week, goodbye and have a great week, everyone.
Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing vibes to health with Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Each and every Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. with your hosts, Trudy Kristen, and co-hosts, pharmacists Jacinta Fagan and Leona Jeremiah. Education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together with Health Vibes. So be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 to 11.